What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So, thank you for tuning to the show. If you're listening to us through your podcast platform of choice or YouTube, Monday, Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday, discussion, Thursdays, Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. If you're listening to us on the radio, 99.1 FM, or on channel 10, public access, you get everything all at once. I think the schedule is a little bit different. But thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com, written by Nate Nelson. And the title of this one is Japan Goes on Offense with New Active Cyber Defense Bill. Okay. So Ryan, when you first sent this out before the show today, I was a little taken aback, right? Because I know Japan to be ahead of its time when it comes to the stuff that they're doing when it comes to the IT world, right? Like they do things. Like, it's not just Japan. I think it's a lot of the Asian countries. They will do things just to prove they can do them. They don't do them for a profit, right? I've said this numerous times over. In America, we do things for a profit. In Japan, they're like, we're going to do this just to prove we can do it, right? So my assumption was always they had good cyber defense and active, cyber capabilities. But apparently that's not the case, right? So what they have is they had this new legislation, which actually they started really discussing it last year in 2024, but it was actually brought to their attention in 2022 by the former, I want to make sure I get this guy's position right, former U.S. Director of National Intelligence, Dennis C. Blair. And back in 2022, he went to the country and was like, hey, he told them, it's like, you guys, your cybersecurity preparedness is not what it needs to be, right? He's like, what we have what's in North America, what's in Europe, he's like, you guys just aren't up to snuff with it. And they've been thinking about it ever since. But they took real legitimate steps with this active cyber defense bill, which is a combination of a couple bills, right? So in the article, they actually have a link to where you can go and look at the outline and the explanatory materials for it. First, it comes up in the Japanese writing, so you have to translate to English if you go to it because it's a .jp site. But when you translate it and look at it, right, it's two different bills. It's a bill on prevention of damage caused by unauthorized acts on important electronic computers, and a bill for the establishment of relevant laws accompanying the enforcement of the act on the prevention of damage caused by unauthorized acts on important electronic computers. So it's very, very wordy, but they're getting to the point of what they need to do, right? And again, because they're so forward-leaning when it comes to IT, like, this is a good step in the direction that they should be taking. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this, man? Tell us from the ground over there in Japan, what's going on with this, man?
From the land of the rising sun. This is kind of funny because I'm actually kind of really close to the chest on this one. So I actually worked with the Air Force over here as an ISM and some of the government agencies for the U.S., but I also worked alongside the Japanese Air Force. And your thought on it is 100% correct. You would think that they'd be kind of very advanced and forward-leaning in something like this, but the preparedness and mindset of the Japanese when it comes to cybersecurity, OPSEC, just good practices in general is very, very behind. I mean, like way, way behind, like light years behind. It's kind of scary, but it comes to their society, right? That's why the crime here is so low. That's why everybody kind of feels like even playing field.
It's
in their mind,
isn't it?
In their mind, they're like, you could even leave your laptop. If you're at Starbucks, you could leave your laptop on the table and go to the bathroom and come back. No one's going to take it. I've had people, I've dropped my wallet once.
Cyber awareness challenge, you cannot.
Yeah. No, but they're very trusty here, just very trustful. Like, I've had my wallet fall out of my pocket when I used to live here before, and I've had somebody pick it up and follow me because they saw it and give it back to me. It's just the society's like that. So in their mind, things like, cybersecurity awareness or someone try to like steal their credit card information or their identity, I don't think it kind of meshes with them or doesn't click yet. So, but for them, they've had situations pretty bad going all the way back to 2020. So in 2020, notoriously a Chinese military hacking company, nation-state actors actually infiltrated Japan's defense secrets and pulled them out. In 2022, which you alluded to, famously the U.S. kind of raised the red flag, hey, you guys are kind of like not where you need to be. And they had another big cyber exploit at that point as well. And because of that is when they actually implemented what they call the National Security Strategy, which didn't come to full fruition until now in 2025. So even our government kind of slow moving sometimes to move some bills and pass some things. But I still feel like this is like, snail's pace where they should have had this implemented back in 2022, honestly. But the national security strategy, kind of broad strokes, it talks about, Japan will advance the efforts on information sharing with the government in case of cyber attacks targeting the private sector, including critical infrastructure, as well as coordinating, supporting incident response activities for the private sector. So you see a lot of that with federally, if it's a criminal activity in the US with the FBI, you'll see it with the private companies in the US if they have government contracts with DCSA. So these kind of frameworks and this kind of collaborative like information sharing and response already exists in the US a long, long time ago. I'm glad to see that Japan's doing this as well because their private sector, the way the economy is going, can take a big hit. So if some of their bigger companies were to get really hit from a criminal activity like a ransomware, it could hurt the country even more than what it is doing right now. Those are kind of like my thoughts in a broad stroke. What do you think, Ryan, on this one?
Yeah, I'm surprised, just like Shannon, because we're not there for the ground truth and what have you. Not because like I get your thought about everybody is more socially aware, right? And responsible over there, but they're neighbors. I would assume that China and Korea and what have you would have been, attacking them on a daily basis. Like, so like my thing is like you have a lot of enemies. I don't want to say enemies, right? But you have a lot of people who don't necessarily agree with you and your politics and what have you. So you'd be a soft target. So that is a little bit shocking, but
Well, they are. They are a soft target. It's not to say like private companies, like the big companies like Rakuten or companies that have a lot of money, they have a very
Mhm.
robust cybersecurity department, but it still is lackluster in between the government and these private organizations, probably information sharing or reporting to the government. Like here in the US, you have to report to the government. If you get ransomware or you have a cyber incident, so they can share that information out with other companies within your industry.
Mhm.
Lessons learned, and that way, they can create signatures for the APTs or for how these attacks get done, and then that information is shared across so you can protect yourself more. Here, that I don't think that exists to this day.
Sorry to interrupt you here, Ryan. So, like, as you guys are talking, you're making me think about something, right? So, from what you both have said, it seems to me like maybe it hasn't been as big a priority for Japan because for them, they're probably not getting as much ransomware because these other countries, what they're doing is they're just stealing the intellectual property, right? When it comes to dealing with
Probably.
North
Right.
America and Europe, they're like, you can't have this. We're not going to give it to you. So they're like, okay, you're going to give it to us, right? You're going to give us this money so we can give it back to you or whatever the case may be. In Japan, they're just stealing the intellectual property and just doing different things with it in China, in Russia, as it may be, right? Like whoever the enemies
Right.
may be that are going in there, they don't have to ransomware it. They're just taking it and benefiting
Mhm.
from it as a
That
society.
is very interesting. So my hope is that they advance quickly, right? Like if you don't have anything, like if you don't have a bunch of red tape and bureaucracy, there you go, there's the word, holding you back, you can kind of move quickly. So perhaps they'll be able to speed up in this case because they don't have a lot holding them back. Like here in the US, it's a pretty big ship, right? So you got to tear down a bunch of red tape in order to get things moving. That's my hope for them because uh, yeah, I just can't fathom them being that far behind. That's pretty crazy. Like and being light years ahead of everything else, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the city of the future over there, and they don't have
Yep.
good cyber. It's pretty crazy. Like all those robots are going to turn on you, Daniel.
Yeah. I know, right? Live
So
in the forest.
right. But no, it's pretty interesting. So you said when it popped up, I was like, oh yeah, this would be interesting for us to talk about. So I fired it off and what have you. But I assume more to come because as Daniel prescribed the timeline, it seems that they've been kind of moving in that direction. So we should start to see the fruits of those labors probably in the very near future. So
I think so.
please continue to tune in. You can hit us up by all of the websites we go by, the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask CSSP. You can hit me up personally. I am at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on pretty much everywhere, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. And where can they find you, Daniel?
Find me on LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.